Unfortunately, he was. But he's going to be under fire.
There's a one and that's cross-eyed. So that gives the 17.
We're not.
Not doing. Okay, what's the drain?
All right. 7. Okay, all right. I don't want that because they weren't quite the same, and so I wanted to.
Oh, I got
Yeah, I
it.
was
You
thinking
worry, you
that.
have faith.
That's.
And it didn't say you were recording.
Our size, it close to our. Getting that big, it close to the.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's been. So I'm not really sure.
She would join it. She's also.
For me? Yeah.
That's the only.
Oh.
In case you want to look at it.
That's, you know.
That's all it turned out.
I sent her.
Oh, shit, I did try.
I sent the biggest. Ah. And then she got really hot.
Yeah, no, she was too hot.
Sit down now.
That happens.
Correctly. White X. Yeah. He would check it. There's our problem. Get there, but.
Still talk. It's
Oh. All right, let's call this meeting order. I'd like to welcome everybody for tonight. Let's spend the night of budget.
Pledge allegiance
Due to the flag.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve agenda.
Earl,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Zach?
Everything's going good at the PD, trying to get all the end of the year stuff wrapped up, get ready to open the new year because it's here and, but with our training, those types of things, so just the normal.
Are we still actively trying to hire an author?
Yeah.
Are we still advertising or we gave up for a while?
Well, we sometimes put it out there and keep putting it out there.
Okay. All right. Yep.
I did it on the fire front, Zach, Just finishing up year-end reports, getting stuff turned into Tommy's Little, so we get stuff put away for 23, get started on 24. Guys are getting ready to start, restarting on their training for their hours. They start over again this year. And on the code enforcement, nothing really new to report.
So Jeff, your training and all that stuff's on calendar year, not like fiscal year. Is that,
Calendar year.
okay, all right.
Have to have 24 continuous hours.
Yeah.
With, those 24, 4 to 6 of them are mandatory ones on certain things. They have to have like bloodborne pathogens, respiratory rehab. They're required. Rest of them, as long as they get 24.
Okay, all right.
When are you doing the meter centers?
Yep. So we have a couple of programs, I would call them, starting in January. Yoga and then men's basketball league starts. She's also doing a benefits of sound therapy, sound bath event in January. So those are 3 new things. We do have a meeting next week. Brian Yearling's term ended in December. So Angie Cheney will be taking his place on the board. She's active across country. She also is the assistant coach, and then she substitutes at elementary. So she'll be the good person.
All right.
I have a question for her.
Yes.
There's an interesting little item about the Mosler Center hours and fees put on Facebook. Did you put that on or did you have to put that on?
I asked her to put that on there. I asked her to put the current.
I had asked for that before, it never was done, and I'm a little frustrated that things that the manager should be doing like that are not done by her without someone else telling her or asking her to do it.
No, JD.
That's been going on for a long time.
Thank you, Jim. I think you're up next.
So for Main Street, our investment drive kicked off. It's actually kicking off next week, but we've already had a few forms, so that's good. We're hoping to increase our investment drive again this year, at least by 5%. So fingers crossed, we have another successful year. We are having our first quarterly business update meeting next week. The Shop Main Street Committee is putting that on. They were a new committee this past year. So hopefully that's just kind of getting some more businesses involved and kind of understanding what Main Street is and what we do in the community. We are working on deciding projects completed in 2023 that we want to enter for the Main Street Iowa Awards ceremony in April. So we'll be, I think there's 4 or 5 that will be entering for some awards. But I have another question for the HPC. So this might be for Earl. I've had a few businesses come in and they're not sure like where to get information on if they need appropriateness, who's on the commission. Is there a way for us to help get that, information out there so they know who to?
I would have thought that would have been on the city's website. Or-
It's on our website. Well, there was information, but we are working with Hills to make sure that the website's up to date.
Yeah,
But the design guidelines are supposed to be uploaded to the dashboard part of the website.
I will direct you.
And then there's an ordinance section on HPC that explains
Okay.
like the certificate of appropriateness and stuff.
so, and then of course Diane is the
Yeah.
chair.
I think she
So-
has probably gotten, reached out to quite a bit. So I just didn't know if she needs to take the full load or if there's other people.
You know,
Okay. Perfect. That's all I got.
Thank you. John, you on? DCDC, okay, moving on, consent agenda.
move to approve.
Second.
Jake,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Set public hearing for January 18th, 2024 regarding updating ordinance chapters 4, 92, 99, 106, 110, and 111, clarifying Iowa set off requirements.
We had set a public hearing before, but did not hold it, so we're just having to set a new one.
Okay,
Motion to set up a public hearing for January 18, 2024.
Second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes.
Set public hearing for January 18th, 2024 regarding easement on number 5, number 6, and number 7 Deborah Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yeah.
Jake,
Yes.
Jennifer,
yes,
Earl,
Yes.
Discuss and decide on forgiving water/sewer charges at 107 Short Street.
Hello. Ali Fisk lives at 107. My father owns the property. We had a big spike in December. There was 16,000 gallons. I have no reason to know why. She hasn't experienced any leakage in the house. I've been over there multiple times trying to find the leakage in the house. Never did. They swapped out a meter and this month it's back down to reading 2,000 gallons.
As a general rule, how we've done this in the past is we'll take the meter he had that we took out. He had Cole got a work order that there was the questioning meter, so we changed it out. We'll send the meter in. I think it's even in the ordinance that the way we do this is the customer pays for the list, roughly $150 to $175. It's a third party. We don't test our own meters. And if it comes back bad, and we eat the new meter, but if it comes back that it's okay, then they have to pay the charge for the new meter that we installed. Is how we generally, that's the normal routine on something like that. There was no visible leak.
Was it an old meter?
Yes,
That I couldn't tell you. I've not seen the meter, Chris.
he told me it was, I talked to him in the office. He said it was an old meter and it was shot. That's what he said.
In my conversation with him, I didn't ask him if it was, he didn't convey that to me, but I didn't ask that question either. But that's the normal procedure. We send it in and they'll test it. If the test's bad, we know it.
Normally, if the meter's old, they read slow, not fast.
That's what the girls also said too.
So
If it's sent in and tested good, does that come back to the council to see if we want to do anything about this?
Yes, then we
We did this for, oh, what was it? It was a young gal in here one day.
But she didn't come back.
Eddie,
She didn't come back. She didn't come back. Well, my question is going to be, if that's a good meter, how come we're getting these numbers?
we just have
So I
to,
guess
you can't find the leak.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess.
that's up to you guys to decide. That's the normal way we approach on something like this is we test it.
I'll make a motion that we table this until we get the information back on the old meter.
so,
Well, are you sending the old meter in or
I'll
not?
say that's assuming that you're willing to pay for it.
well, that's what, how much did you say it was?
I don't know the exact cost, but it's between $150 and $175 to test the meter. And if it tests good, then the cost of the new meter that he installed would also become your cost. And so that's.
So we're talking 175. What's the new meter
It
cost?
could be up to $350 if it's not good, but the cost.
Good pocket go. You can have that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That's just the normal way we do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks.
Sorry.
So he's just gonna pay the bill?
Yes, because the bill at 16,000 would be 100.
it's in your
$187.
It's
packet.
gonna be within $50
We
either
put a
way.
new meter on, or we're just gonna eat
So
it.
we'll.
$87.
Wait a minute, he doesn't pay for the new meter?
Not
Honestly,
right now, he doesn't,
Okay.
unless we send it in.
He's saying.
Oh, and if he doesn't send it in,
So we-
he's just loaning the meter or what?
And he has the bill.
Well, of course he's gonna pick the bill, so.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're looking at 187.50 for the water and 225.
You withdraw.
I'll withdraw my vote.
so Josh, normally so I'll go back to Paul. And I'll ask him, did that meter, is it due to be replaced or should, if it's an old enough, then yes, well.
So are we gonna find out if the meter's any good or not?
No,
If it's an old,
Just don't reuse it.
if it's a no, then no, then we.
all right, moving on. Discuss and decide sending Davis County a letter of indemnity pertaining to public safety.
Gayla and I had a conversation. It appears that there is a couple lawsuits against the county and some named individuals from some prior dispatchers. And so in the 2080 agreement between the city and the county has all of the authority since 2021 to hire, fire, and discipline the dispatchers. So, after the conversation with Gayla, I feel like it's not we're not in this, to argue because we have nothing to do with it. We don't have any say on anything that happens. So, I asked, and we talked about, is there anything we can do to let them know that, obviously we're doing a letter, to dismiss because we don't feel like we should be a part of it. However, I also think she can send a letter to them that states we don't feel that this has anything to do with us. But we need your blessing for her to
We
send.
have no part in the decision.
No,
We,
Gladly.
through the interviews.
Motion to approve letter of indemnity pertaining to public safety.
Second.
Earl,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jake,
Absolutely.
Josh.
Yeah.
Approved quote from Wesco in the amount of $8,406 for cross arms and braces.
This is for the electric department. We normally wouldn't order quite this many at a time, but we're switching over to fiberglass that will last us 10 times longer than our wooden arms. And with the shipping costs, we decided, made the call to order a few more and save on some shipping. So that's why we made such a large order of cross arms.
Is this in the budget?
yes, electric's fine.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh.
Yeah.
Don,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Jake.
Yes.
Approved quote for storm sewer drains.
So you've got those two in your packet. One's from Wetstein and one is from Leffler's. The Wetstein's a little different because they actually also quoted replacing the pipe under the street if that was necessary. Since then, we've confirmed that the pipe does not need replaced, just the storm drain. So it's actually the 15,700 versus the 17,000 is your two quotes. Because Leffler's did not quote replacing the two.
Wetstein's 15,700, not 20.
Yes, yes.
So we asked Leffler to adjust his quote?
No, he did not quote two, but his quote.
Oh,
was
he
for
didn't.
two.
Oh,
His
he-
part
oh,
was
I see
17
now.
versus, yeah.
15,700 versus 17.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Move to approve the Wetstein, vote.
Second.
Don,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes.
Approved pay estimate number 4 to Leffler Dirt Works LLC in the amount of $54,299.15.
South side of the square.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Josh.
Approved invoice 64560 to Anderson Larkin for the June 30th to 2023 audit in the amount of $9,750.
That should just be the final bill. The audit's complete and he sent the draft over to me. And we're just waiting on the final. You'll have to accept the audit before it goes to the state, but all done.
You are satisfied?
Motion to approve that item.
No issues.
Second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Jake.
Yes.
Public comments. Okay, Tommy Joe.
I have a couple things. First thing was about the hotel motel that we discussed last time. We did look up the Iowa State Code 423A, and it does state that at least 50% of the related revenues are for acquisition, improving, enlarging, equipping, repairing, recreational, conventional, cultural, or entertainment facilities. And then we also have a City of Bloomfield policy that was adopted in 2007 that states that we'll use 50% for recreation, which is determined by council. So however you guys choose to spend the 50% recreation, whether it be for somebody else in the community or our own recreation. 25% has to be used for economic development, which is also determined by council. And then 25% for promotion and encouragement of tourism. So there is an ad going in the paper and it's due February 13th at 4 o'clock for anybody who would like hotel motel funds for this calendar year for 2024. And you guys will determine that the second meeting in February of how you would like to spend hotel motel funds and if you want to distribute all or a portion of. It does state in the policy that the tourism piece is for nonprofit organizations only, which we have been following, but I did just kind of want to reiterate that in case somebody should want to apply, we can make sure that they're a nonprofit. The economic development category is available to local businesses, and then recreation is determined with the budget on whether or not you guys want to spend it on our own recreation or somebody else's. So I did double check that. So I don't know if you have more questions in regards to that.
I don't think you read the complete statement. The original one you just read.
Okay,
That's what the state says we have to do with the money.
so this come from Iowa League of Cities. Sure, I can read the whole thing. It
Because
says,
it says at least.
yes, at least 50%.
Yes, and that was misinterpreted by the council years ago, and they cut it off at 50% one way and 50%. Now, it doesn't matter to me, but I just want to make sure that we're not locked into 50%.
Yeah, no, you're not. It's at least 50.
Okay,
But,
that was my point.
yeah, so the one thing I did learn from it though, is states that it is not limited to memorial buildings, halls, monuments, civic center, convention buildings, auditorium, coliseums, and parking areas. So that was an area that I learned. I didn't realize that we could,
Yeah, I have no
They'll make a
objection to the way
parking
we're
spot.
doing it. It's just that
yeah, it is at least
years
50.
ago, there was a misunderstanding of what it actually said.
So when is the ad?
The ad is going in the paper.
When's the last day they?
Oh, I'm sorry. February 13th at 4 o'clock. It needs to be turned into City
And then
Hall
our meeting is when?
after that. I don't know, 16th, 15th, let me,
I just asked that we get those out in an email to the
Yep.
town. That's a painful,
it is.
that's always a painful meeting for me. We spend
So
looking at each other trying to decide. So if you guys don't mind, do a little homework, read over them so we can quickly get through this. Cause
Yeah.
I don't want to spend 2 hours deciding if this place gets one and the other place doesn't. So it's a painful meeting for me.
And they have to submit their budget along with their written request. I think they do that.
Correct.
So it
Yep.
does take some time to study. I remember last
Yep.
year, I spent a couple hours going through
Yeah.
all those
Meeting the
numbers.
1st of February and the 15th of
So
February.
you only have like a day or so. At least you
I
can,
mean-
at least you can read over them and we'll discuss them,
Of
but
course,
you know,
we could postpone it to March.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you need more time, then we can decide on March 7th, as long as I know what's
we're
gonna
all
be
humans.
discussed.
We don't have to push them off. We don't look at them until an hour.
One
They
day,
have to-
come on now. One day is not enough time actually to look.
Okay, we'll put it on
If we
March
set it
7th.
Like we should.
Maybe we hand them out in the packet that night.
We'll do that either
And
way.
then we'll talk about it in the fun. So at least
Sounds
we'll
good.
have them
Yeah, yeah.
in hand. You can look them over and then be prepared.
But I do take those requests seriously, look at their budgets.
Okay, so we will give it to you on the 15th and you can decide on the 7th of March how you want to. Delegate it.
That'll work.
Second thing is, so we had a meeting this week with Matt Walker about the west and the north side of the square and everything that we have to do for the design guidelines in addition to the SRF funds to be used and the grant. The one question for council is the council willing to spend $75,000 to $100,000 for the vibration monitors on the buildings? So, we learned on the south side that we paid almost 50,000 for them to put them on there. So we did ask the contractor, did they go off and you had to stop work or anything? And they said, no, not enough to stop what they were doing, but budget finance,
No.
yeah.
No, I've had the contractors out there tell me when it goes off, they just They just keep working and resetting. They don't change. They've told me that. The DOT guys have even told me that.
So we did
But I
ask,
can't believe that company gets paid that much to
Yeah.
put a dang little thing in the building.
I hold my ear to the ground less than that.
yeah, so, that obviously was over everybody's limit, so we need to discuss whether or not you would like those, and willing to pay for that. And we also asked, okay, what happened if something should happen to a facade or a building? Most likely those people are gonna come after the contractor in the city anyways, with or without your vibration monitor.
With
So-
or without them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so the answer is no, we're not willing. Okay. So I can get back to Matt Walker on that. Budget update, I have all of it done with the exception of gas and electric. I'm hoping to finish tomorrow for the first draft. And then I will type it in the computer, see where we're at. That will tell us how much we need to sharpen our pencil before, and then I'll be bringing a list to council, and obviously you can review it, and the list of equipment and everything that you guys always look at to tell me if we should buy or not. There is actually not a very long list of equipment this year, so, yeah. So, just to give you an update on that, the joke is, don't ask Tommy Joe, she's just gonna tell you no, so that's okay. W-2s are done, so be expecting those in the mail, and the mayor and council will get those at the next meeting. And then the last thing is, I had a citizen call today who would like to remind people in the city that the yellow striped park lines around the square mean no parking. People are also parking in front of other people's driveways, so then they're not able to get out, and or parking facing the wrong side of the road. So they did want me to make sure everybody knows that
That last one is really a pet peeve of mine. Is that
when they park the wrong way.
Yes.
Facing the wrong way.
If the road's going this way and they park.
According to our county attorney, you can park across the street from a vehicle or
From a driveway.
From a driveway. So they.
But the parking the wrong
Yes,
direction, that is,
yeah.
because I've seen that throughout the year and I always was like,
Yeah, so that, Tommy Joe did message me today about somebody parking, but I was
Busy.
in a situation that I.
That was more important.
I wish I could have written a parking ticket, let's say that.
they might give me-
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we could do an ad in the paper or an article or whatnot. Just reminding people, now there are, obviously, we're painting the square and off the square, so we've added some yellow no parking and out front here, the library. In case people don't know, that is no parking with the hashtags. So, and they said, I don't expect the police to go out and give them a ticket, but after 2 or 3 warnings, like, okay, it's a no parking and you shouldn't park there, so don't. So,
I have a question.
yes.
What can we do to Matt to make sure that we don't have the problem with the light pole bases that we had on the east and south side?
So those are gonna be added into the bid. And the base themselves is gonna, and the elevation will be in the bid, and it will tell them exactly how they're supposed to
If
do
they don't
it.
get them the right diameter, it doesn't matter how tall they are, what the elevation is. You can't put a square base on a round, small pedestal.
Which
That
is,
should be corrected.
well, that's how the company's selling them, but we displayed
Why are we paying someone for that?
our,
We're the ones, Don, we.
I know what the city's having to spend money and work to fix that.
no.
We are gonna make sure that they're all flush, so you don't see the round base. The light pole itself will sit on the sidewalk and the round base doesn't show. That would cure the situation.
And really, my side of the square, that really wasn't our fault, right?
No.
Well, no,
It was
because
the
they tore it
DOT
back
who
out.
Decided to change elevation.
And we're not done with that. We have
Yeah, I
a
know.
solution coming.
But the city's gonna have to solve a problem that is not our responsibility. That's my point.
They did call back to Hall of Fame, to the place that we get them, and that is the base that they put underneath them. However, they are normally flush with the concrete. So we asked Matt, we let him know how displeased we were and how can we correct this. And so it's gonna actually be in the bid so that the contractor and the engineer will be doing that, and we'll be running the wires still for them, but as part of the bid itself,
should correct itself because he's gonna have the exact elevation, and everything he said. So we informed him if it was wrong, we would let him know. It's on him instead of us, so. But
Okay,
we
Let's
did discuss that quite a bit.
but that means.
2 hours.
Since they're focusing on that, they'll probably mess something else up.
Could very well be. I will tell you, yeah,
The old magic trick.
I will tell you that the west side is wider than the south side. So, it will be more expensive because the concrete piece is gonna be wider. But there will still be 5 foot worth of pavers so that it looks uniform. And then the last thing I have for you is in your packet, you should have a budget worksheet for community development money to also review. We'll also be talking about, so you can take this home and do more homework, Dawn. How much money we gave each of these businesses out of community development funds last year. I've only received one ask amount so far. And then in a couple meetings, you'll also be discussing and telling me how much you would like to grant them.
And they do
of
know
these
that they have to
funds.
submit the request in writing.
Yes, I am personally calling each one of them to let them know.
Who already gave you some?
Main Street,
No. Okay.
yeah. So you can take that home, look it over, maybe do it when you're working on your hotel motel. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Rusty?
I don't have anything.
No, Davey?
No?
I have a question. Have we had any, and maybe for the council members, have we had any complaints or anything with the handicap being in the middle? I mean, did the senior citizens center there
I
just throw a whole?
personally have not. I've heard a few
I
people-
haven't heard
I've
anybody.
heard a few people talk about it on social media, but I've also heard people like it the way it is.
I had one complaint and I talked with Rusty basically about it. I still do not believe that the way they are painted meets the American with Disabilities Act requirements. And you and I talked about that, because if you get snow over them and somebody parks on top of one of those with the snow on it, what's gonna happen? They could be given a fine and you can't even see the sign. I'm sure the federal requirement says you must have a sign, it must be so many inches from the surface. The sign has to be so big with blue lettering and white and all that stuff. I wish, have our attorney look at it.
That's,
That's bothered me for 5 or 6 years. We can't seem to get
we had.
handicap parking spaces in the right spot and we can't seem to get them to comply with the ADA. I'm done.
I was gonna say, until the ordinance changes, we can't put anything, up
I don't want
against
a
the
pole,
buildings
I don't want a
yet.
pole in the middle, which means the handicap parking spaces
Right.
shouldn't be in the middle, in my opinion. I'm not even sure they meet ADA
And
requirements.
that was exactly the main reason why we could not put them back against the curb was the ADA, the curb did not meet ADA requirements where the ramp was down through there. They, with the street, once we redo the streets, Don, we believe we'll be able to change that if we want to at that time.
I think the one by the Senior Citizen Center that has the sign is the only correct one we have.
Which we don't even have anymore.
It's
And
gone.
the sign came down. It was.
Well, and the spot's not there anymore either, because of the slope from the building and the doors and how much fall there was. We made them explain it all to us, how much fall there was from the highway down to Main
We drilled
Street.
pretty hard when they wanted to change it.
I may be wrong, but I'm positive I've seen handicaps without a sign. Painted just like,
Not that it didn't meet the requirements.
well, I don't know, but if they did.
It's just like parking by the yellow. I don't care if it's illegal or not. I'm gonna do it.
Well, and
Not me, but some people say, I'm gonna do it.
I mean, I personally don't
They
think
wanna give
that,
me a ticket, and I'm gonna give me a ticket.
that Baird's Painting would do it if it was wrong personally, but
Anyhow,
we'll have them look at it.
Lead pan attorney, have her look at it.
Yeah, well,
Good
yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
All right.
That right to the-
Council updates, anything more, Don? Council updates, now's the time.
I got an item for next council meeting, spring clean, city's involvement in spring cleanup. We'll save that till next time.
That's like a tease.
It is.
Get ready, Jeff.
I'm not biting on it, so I'm not gonna worry about it. Any other council updates?
I was asked to put that on the agenda by someone. City's involvement in spring cleanup.
Every couple of years, I put together, it's a nonprofit, I put together a trip to Chicago for kids in the community. And this year, I'm doing something a little bit different. We're going in June. And I realized that our community is in socioeconomic need. So I put together some fundraisers for kids, some middle school kids. It's a 6th through 8th grade trip. So they're just wrapping up their first fundraiser right now on 2 other fundraisers. So I urge like the community, it takes a lot for the kids to go out there and, you know, raise their own funds, and everything that they raise goes towards their trip, and it helps a lot of kids pay for
What's the
that.
current, is that the Casey's cards?
The current fundraiser is the Casey's cards.
Okay, I've seen that.
And
Oh, Facebook.
we get like, we have to pay $10 to corporate Casey's, and they're good until September of 2025. And they're good in 17 states. And then for every $20 that they raise, $10 goes back towards Casey's corporate, and then they get $10 to pay on their account balance. We've actually had 3 or 4 kids raise enough with that to pay for their trip. Their trip this year is like $715. It's a 3-day trip that includes like their transportation, their hotel, their entry into all the educational events, and it's pretty good. So
So is there a certain time that they're gonna do this in mass?
so I reached out to Sonic and Atumwa, and they're gonna be they'll have $5 Sonic cards, for example. And the kid, say a kid sells a card for $5, they get 100% of that money towards their trip. And then I'm looking into in the spring doing and it's someone to raise money for trips. We do like a jump rope-a-thon, and they'll do that in the spring. So it's good for them. You'd be amazed, like being a teacher, how many kids, the only state that they've been to is northern Missouri. So for example, I have a lot of kids that have never even seen like the Mississippi River. And that's part of our socioeconomics in this area. So it just enables them to experience something new. So,
How many kids are going?
last time I checked, it was like in the 70s. I'm hoping to like constantly raise the number. We have a lot of parental involvement. Like we've done 3 trips in the past. And we didn't have like a educational trip like that for our kids. And growing up in Atumwa, by the time I went in 9th grade, and I guess Tommy Joe, you'll verify this, I went to all kinds of different states, and I remember fundraising for those and everything else. And so I put together the Chicago trip back then for that. And it's kind of grown. And I've actually had a couple parents that have been on almost every single trip. So we have like a certified nurse go on the trip, and she distributes meds and stuff like that. That'd be another thing that would surprise you, how many kids are on meds. So when we first the trip. Oh yeah. You can tell they're not. Not on
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
I just went to the pool hall to get an education.
Well, that's why you didn't get very far in line. You didn't get out.
There is, we've had people in the past like ask to sponsor like a trial, and that's been done in the past. I haven't done that this time.
If somebody comes up a little short.
Yeah, this kind of gives
And
them
you
an
may, and
opportunity.
you believe they
Yeah.
put a good effort in, and
Sure.
they tried their butts off, but everybody beat them to the
Yeah.
Casey's cards.
And believe it or not,
Yeah.
like I pay for the trip to go
Yeah.
to lower the cost for them.
Yeah,
And I've paid
Yeah.
off a kid's account before.
Yeah.
So, but
okay.
Yep.
Anything else? I don't have anything tonight.
Ern,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jake.
Yeah.
Raj,
yes.
Jennifer.
yes.
Somebody pull out and bring somebody yesterday out there, is that what?
Burn it around them, yeah.
The guy got stop
Was
sign.
they hurt?
It's cold out there though.
I saw you with this hair.
So Zach, have you been following that Perry, Iowa